Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together we are TwinFinity.
We did it. We haven't done a video in so long, we were worried we didn't know how.
My voice cracked when I started.
Okay. We were both like, are you ready? No, not ready.
Nope.
No.
Not at all.
Don't know how to do this anymore. So, we are way late on a video because we've held illnesses and visitors and too much work. Rob got sick. And then he was better, but then he gave it to me, and I was sick, and I
shared.
was really sick. I was sick for over 2 weeks, and it just sucked because I haven't been sick in 8 years. So it was kind of rough.
She saved up.
Yeah, I did. And then I was barely better. I wasn't even fully better, and then I had company for a extra long weekend. And I managed not to get sicker through that. I don't know how, because it was late nights and early mornings and busy days. And
actually, you got better as that weekend went on.
Which I'm still shocked. It must have been because Reiki. This is a friend that I met 28 years ago in Reiki class. And so we do Reiki together, obviously, when we get together. So it must have been the Reiki that helped.
And she was also starting to recover.
I was, but it was still really slow.
I did not expect you to continue to recover when you're staying up to midnight and talking and everything else. Everything that 3 days earlier would have made her break out into a coughing fit.
Yeah.
So that turned out really well.
Yeah. So we are still alive, and here we are.
Just barely here again. We are in the midst of a heat wave.
Oof.
Now, a heat wave for us is anything over 85 Fahrenheit, or what I'll say is roughly about 28 Celsius. So, yeah, we're in one of those. We got another, at least, the weather people are telling us at least another 10 days to go. With many of those days touching the low 90s.
Yeah.
Which is pretty warm for around here. Other people might be used to it, but our place doesn't even have air conditioning, so we're living in the basement. We're letting the upstairs just get ridiculously hot, and we're trying to stay where it's cool.
Yeah, that's all we can do.
Open the garage door an hour before my alarm goes off, and our garage has a door that opens into our basement where we're sleeping. So open the garage door just at sunrise so we get some cold air injected back into the basement so it stays cool for another day.
Yeah.
And away we go.
Try to survive.
Now, where we are is also in the shade. We're in the shade right in behind our house.
It actually doesn't look like it because it's all sunny there. But yeah, we are sitting in the shade.
And the sun is going to come around the corner of the house, and it might start to cook us out. So
we might be moving. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. If we just start to die, we might have to quit. But hopefully, we got enough. You know, people say sunshine. I'm going to say shade shine.
But can't we just like move backwards or move over here or move over there? Or is the shade just going to disappear?
Shade's going to disappear.
Oh.
We might have a couple of trees that'll help, all depending upon sun angle.
Okay.
It's gonna be close.
I guess we'll see. So now that we've let you know
rambled on
that we're still alive, do you have a little story to share, or am I sharing?
No.
Okay, that's perfect because I do, and it's very appropriate. Well, I won't. Never mind.
I'm afraid. yeah.
It's been on the list for so long, but we just talked about it this morning. So
yes,
I thought
we did.
It was appropriate.
Okay.
Do you want to share it now that you know what it is?
No, you can tell it.
Okay.
It's your idea.
Okay. Well, it's your thing. That's why I think you should share it, because it's kind of hilarious.
I named it.
It's gonna make me blush probably.
Okay. It's warm outside. She's gonna just blush.
There we go. I won't even notice. So we have, Rob on his phone has made snuggle alarms. So for the morning, before he has the alarm that says like get up and start your day and get ready for work, he has a snuggle alarm. So how long is that for? 10 minutes?
Typically 10 or 12 minutes, depending upon the season.
Okay. So he has not only made a snuggle alarm to make sure we get snuggle time every morning, but he is even named different snuggles. So we have like what we call like the melty snuggles, where we can't figure out whose body parts are whose because it's all melted together. And I don't know how long ago you named this one, like at least a year ago.
This one?
Yeah.
I don't think it was even that long.
No?
No, I think it was like fall of last year.
Okay. He called it a premium snuggle. And what a premium snuggle means is literally head to toe. So our toes are touching and our heads are touching.
Toes, knees,
Yeah.
torsos,
Yeah.
head, clunk. So premium snuggle is head to toe.
And we just had a premium snuggle this morning.
Yes, we did.
Yes, so I thought it was very appropriate to share. And funny enough, it's next on the list to share anyway.
Yeah.
Because I redid the list from a while ago because I just had stuff scattered all over the place. So that's our little ridiculous twin flame story to share.
You know,
Premium snuggles.
sometimes the blankets are all twisted up and pointed different directions, and we get like a foot snuggle because that's as close as we are sometimes.
Or just because it's too hot.
Yeah, too hot.
And I'm
Foot
like,
snuggle.
go away.
Or arm on a hand snuggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's premium snuggles.
Yeah. Premium snuggles are best in the winter because it's cold, so you can enjoy them. When it's summer and it's hot, you're like, ugh, I can't even like handle being touched. I'm like all sweaty myself. So, but since we're sleeping in the basement and it's cooler now, we can have premium snuggles.
Yay.
Yay. So you can start into questions now if you wish, unless you have more to share on premium snuggles or...
There's more of us.
There's more of us?
Oh, I see what's going to happen. I see a Q on the clipboard.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's just my own little note. Like normally I have notes on most of the questions, but I didn't feel I needed notes. But I don't have much for notes, but I have
She's got a Q.
props, or what do you call these?
Yeah.
Okay.
Props.
I have props.
We don't have any jets. We just have props.
That's right.
Airplanes.
Oh, dear. All right.
Yeah. I had one of those days at work, too. I was zanging people with bad jokes all over the place. And
I'm already sweating and have to uncross my legs because I'm all sticky.
yeah, we're doing this outside because it's supposedly cooler out here, but it is not.
We could do it in the basement, but we couldn't turn our fireplace on.
Oh, yeah, we'd ruin our cool basement.
Yeah, and we'd ruin ourselves. We'd melt.
I'll start in with a question before
we melt.
Before Angie melts and the sun comes around the corner and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Summer's working against us. I love summer. I'll go golfing in the heat. I'll go climbing in the heat. I just struggle with sleeping in the heat.
I'd rather have cold because you can warm up when you're cold. It's really hard to cool down when you're hot.
That way we're not quite the same. I'd rather deal with being too warm than being too cold. When I get too cold, it's not pretty.
And for those women out there, when you're perimenopausal, you will agree with me. The summer is hell. You're already hot. You don't need to be hotter. Who needs that? Ugh.
You know, between perimenopausal comments like that and people trying to redefine what a premium snuggle would be, I think we're already off to a start.
Yep.
Anyway,
Okay.
I didn't say that. Okay, question number 1.
Yes.
Wow, it's fairly long. I feel I've pretty much given up on the idea of reunion with my divine masculine. After our separation, he went on to marry another and move to another state. Somehow, I knew he would. Anyway, I'm not angry or hurt anymore because I understand why it had to happen. He has been with her 7 years and married around 4 years. It hurt so much when he told me he was in a committed relationship. I wished him well, but was dying on the inside. That was then. Now I've just accepted the fact that he is happy, and it is great. We are both in our 50s. I have had 4 relationships of a sort, with physical intimacy, friendship, and fun since him, with almost 2 years of celibacy before waiting on him, but have not fallen in love for some reason. It's like this whole journey changed me on how I see romantic love, but I haven't given up on being in a divine type of connection. Letting go of the idea of him. Is it surrender? I feel it comes in layers. Or am I fooling myself? Well, that question just sort of shoots right to the heart of most of the questions.
I'm never one to want to give people false hope, because we can't ever guarantee your union. We couldn't guarantee our own, right? Like the soul chooses its path, and you have to know your own soul's path. So, of course, we can't say, yeah, you're going to come to union. But what I can tell you is from our experience, I've been through that. I've been through Rob being with another woman and saying he was super happy. And if you remember from other videos, he even took me out to dinner one time and told me he was smitten with this woman. And
See,
I'm like,
that's one word I've had to wipe out of my vocabulary.
yeah, unless you're smitten with me, then it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Can we have the extra box?
Okay.
I feel like I'm looking down instead of looking straight.
Okay.
So I need more height.
No.
So
that's
here,
cool.
I'll help you.
There we are.
We'll do this together.
There's
there.
just
We
needed all
there.
we
See,
needed
now
all
I
four
look-
hands that we used to have in previous lives, except she had 8.
Yeah, I did. I miss them. On topic once again. You just never know. Like this person being your twin, might need a lot of time with this other person, this karmic partner or soulmate or whoever it is, in order to get the growth, get the lessons, get the experience they need before they're ready to find union within and therefore find union with you. So yes, surrender is wise, and that's the best place to be. In fact, it makes it easier that then you can let it go and have peace in your current life. Like you said, like you've had relationships after waiting for him, and you finally were like, okay, I'm not waiting for him. And I think that's the best thing you can do, is live your life as if you're not coming to union, but also live your life having union within. Like, I don't want you to think, okay, if I'm not having union within or union with him, then I don't need to do all the work for myself. You still need to do that work, just because that's part of the journey, right? Whether the other person is in your life or not in your life. But live your life with as much joy as you can, and be open to other partners like you have been, because nobody knows. You know, your own journey is your own journey, and nobody but you would know if union is possible. That's my kind of...
I'm going to go a slightly different direction, but in reading this, I felt a fair bit of calmness, especially the one sentence of, it's like this whole journey changed me on how I see romantic love. You know, so many people get completely hung up on the absolutely immeasurably romantic love, and because it's still close to being within their grasp, it's probably not harmful that they hang on to that. The person who was asked this question, though, is actually most of the way to where many people wish that they could be. And that's actually truly getting to a point of an honest letting go. That's really a hard spot to get to.
Yeah.
So as long as the whole journey hasn't completely jaded this person and how they see romantic love, I think that it's very possible that having let go of their twin, maybe wisely, that they're actually very close to being capable, that if they find, I'll call it a soulmate relationship if you wanted to label something as a step different, they're very, very close to being capable of having a very valuable relationship that would not be with their twin, because of how much they've healed, how much they recognize that the journey has changed how they see things, and really how not desperate they are to hang on to that last little vestige of hope for being with their twin. There's a lot of letting go that's happened with this person, and there's a lot of healing that's happened. And I think a great many people would like to be where this person is. So there are many options that's available to this person. And are you fooling yourself? No, I'm sure that at some point, especially if another uh, I'll call it scarily good relationship comes along, there might be a little bit of panic of, now do I really have to absolutely finally and forever let go of my twin? It's possible. And that might be a hard hurdle to get through, but when it comes to how I've seen other people state where they're at, uh, yeah, if anyone can do it, this person can.
And I don't
By the
think
way, we're flicking the odd bug that tries to crawl our direction.
Yes.
By the way,
She said, "Is this surrender?" I feel like it comes in layers. Absolutely, it comes in layers. I wish it was just, okay, I've surrendered and then we're done. We surrender and then we come back, and then we surrender and we come back. And I will tell you, surrender, at least for me, is a lesson I have to continually learn. So when you can learn it and master it with your twin, it makes it easier for future, because surrender is just part of life. There's so many things that we need to surrender to. Or maybe you're not like me and you have lots of desires and you're like, I want this and I wish for that and I hope for that, and you have to surrender. And I still find surrender very hard. You can surrender one thing and then you have to surrender in another direction. So yes, it's definitely layers. It's not just surrender once and you're done.
it's not very often that we ask each other questions.
Oh no. I'm scared.
You're scared?
I'm scared.
What is the functional difference between surrendering and letting go?
I think they're the same. Surrender to me is letting go, but surrender and letting go are different from giving up. Surrendering and letting go to me are like, I surrender it, I let it go to a higher power, whether that be God, source, light, yourself, your own higher self, but you just surrender it to know that it'll come to you in the right divine time if it's meant to. Letting go or giving up to me is like more of an ego thing. Like a surrender is a soul thing. It's your soul understanding that it will come to you when it's meant to. Whereas giving up is your ego going, well, fine, if I can't have it, then fine. And it gets all angry and temper tantrumish, and there's no peace in that. Whereas when you surrender, there's peace.
To me, surrender is a little more hopeful than letting go or giving up. Letting go is sort of like the fine, I guess I have to do it. Where surrendering is, I still have all options before me.
Oh, I like that.
But I will choose to let what I was living for take a rest. So surrendering, I think, is almost a healthier word if it's used in that context. Surrendering looks a little bit more towards the future. It's not just the letting go, it's the leaving the doors open for the future.
Yeah.
Surrendering one idea for the possibility of another. I had to ask that.
That's a good question.
Because I was sitting here debating what the difference was in my mind.
I think that would be a great topic to do like a whole video on. Because we have so much time to do those extra videos now. We can't even do question and answers on a regular basis. But let's dive into other videos too.
I kind of thought that over the past 4 minutes we just kind of did a good one with that one.
Okay.
I don't know if I've got a half an hour or an hour.
I think it could.
Maybe we could do a video of one type of word versus another, and then this type of word versus that type of word.
Yeah. Yeah. But we'll just focus on trying to do question and answers regularly.
I think we're off on a tangent. I think we need to focus on getting back to this question and answer.
I think we should go to the next question.
Or am I fooling myself? No. I think you've got a pretty healthy approach to everything. Maybe you need to trust yourself, is what I see in the last sentence of the previous question.
Yep.
Because everything else seems to be going okay.
Yep.
If I were you, I would trust you. Next question.
It's interesting how the tangent we just went off on kind of ties in with this a little bit. I find that very fascinating.
You see, I still haven't read it yet.
Oh, okay. I just reread the first
You
sentence.
just reread the first sentence.
Go
And you know where the question goes.
Okay.
Okay. Carry on.
No, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't tell your bad jokes. Just focus on the question.
Focus on the questions. How to be a good listener and actually follow the advice of the universe. That's with a question mark. How do you be a good listener and follow the advice of the universe? I feel like I'm very stubborn and it hurts me, but I don't know how to let go of judgment. That's a tough one for most. I'm so prejudiced against the ways my path should go that I don't allow anything. I don't allow anything that I think is wrong, like having a friendship with each other while we are in relationships with other people. Because I'm scared it would bring other people's judgment, yes, and unfair accusations or worse, ruined families if we follow our love, which is still unstable and explosive at times. So I choose to stay away and not even contact him, as I feel he has more important things in life, a family and a toddler, and there's no space for this love. I now think it may have all been a fake or nothing hard to describe the mix of sadness, disappointment, and pain and regret that I feel now for being so naive as to believe I could have met the love of my life and lived happily ever after. Following the advice of the universe is very difficult for those who feel that it is best to control your own destiny. And this person likes to choose paths. Be with somebody, not be with somebody. Be in touch with someone, not be in touch with someone. Choose to risk prejudice against them or not choose. This person is, I don't think it's completely black and white, but there's tendencies there where choosing to accept that they may have been naive versus not naive actually leaves them not able to accept where they actually are, because where they are is halfway between the two.
Do you have more?
I'll let you make a comment. We've
Okay.
actually got a nice clipboard holder right here.
Look at that.
Wow.
I thought it was neat how the very first sentence in this whole thing is a question, and we kind of addressed it in the last question. How to be a good listener and actually follow the advice of the universe. Surrender. That's part of what it is. And part of surrender is also trust, right? Not just trusting in something or somebody else like a higher power, but trusting in ourselves, trusting that our own wisdom has the right guidance that's leading us in the right place. So when you're asking, how do I be a good listener and follow the advice of the universe? If you understand that the universe is also you, universe, right? You are part of that universe. So if you feel like it's hard to trust something outside of you, bring it back into yourself and go, do I trust myself? Because that's where this trust needs to start. When you trust yourself, you can then trust the universe and everything around you. Trust always starts from within. So, but that's also where the surrender comes in, right? When we surrender, and follow the advice of the universe or whatever, our own inner voice, that's part of surrendering, because we're allowing things to be open and not closed. Like I said from the last thing, the ego is the one that likes to fight and resist and push back. Whereas when you're in your higher self, your soul self, your wise self, you can be open to allowing and following guidance, whatever you want to call it, whether that's the universe or your own guidance or other beings supporting you and guiding you. But I like when she also says, I feel like I'm very stubborn and it hurts me, but I don't know how to let go of the judgment. So that's another piece to maybe work on, is learning to not worry about what other people think, because you're never going to be able to please everybody anyway. So it's learning to let go of other people's judgments and not even care if they have judgments, because somebody's always going to. You're never going to make everybody happy, but you have to make yourself happy. That's where it has to start. Other people are going to have judgments. I'm sure in our relationship, lots of people had judgments.
Yeah.
Probably even our friends were like, what are you doing? And we couldn't worry about that. Our path was just so strong to be together. It was just like, if we blow up our whole lives and we lose all of our friends and we lose our family, it is what it is. And I'm not saying you need to go to that extreme. I'm just saying it's important to get to the point where you're not so worried about what everybody else is thinking.
This is really touchy, because the way this person wrote, I'm going to stay with my presumption that I've got a little bit of a lock on their personality and how they think. This person is in a situation where they need to, first of all, understand whether they're willing to accept the price of judgment or not.
Right.
And in this case, the price of judgment, because it could bring on other people's judgment and unfair accusations, or worse, ruin families if you follow our love, which is still unstable and explosive at times. I think if a person is going to take the risk of judgment, I think it needs to be in an all-in situation. You are either making changes or you are not risking judgment. So if you're not prepared to make changes, if you're trying to think that you're going to just fly under the radar for a while and let things just be cool, unfortunately, when it comes to divine relationships, two people who are in the same space together that are capable of being in a divine relationship, be it soulmates or twin flames, whatever label you'd want to choose, they have a very hard time hiding that. It's a very hard thing to hide, and for people who are good at reading, it's quite easy to read. So to even be in the same space with each other is a choice of accepting judgment, because chances are you won't be able to avoid it.
Right.
So yeah, if you're gonna risk the judgment, you might as well be in a position where you're going to invite the judgment, because you'll have very few options to do otherwise. That's a rather harsh way of looking at it, but if I'd rather err on the side of caution and say risk or absolutely do not risk the judgment. It's actually good that this person can separate things enough with the way that they look at things that they can see the danger of judgment versus not, as opposed to stumbling into it and going, "Oh, I should have thought that through." They've done the thinking through first,
right,
which leaves them in a pretty strong position.
I also wanted to just comment on the sentence of, so I choose to stay away and not even contact him, as I feel he has more important things in his life, a family and a toddler, and there is no space for this love.
You comment first.
The reason I want to address that is so many people that are the awakened one on the twin flame journey are often the chaser, right? It's their twin is the one that's the runner, the one that's blocking them, the one that doesn't contact them, or when they do, then they ghost them again. And then you're always asking, well, why? Like, why do they do that? This is a great sentence that explains why people do that, right? We often think the other person's blocking us because of something we did, when almost always it's their own stuff. It's their own fears, like this person has. I stay away because I don't want to wreck his life. That's very honest. And that, I think, is something that's important to remember when you're going through that ghosting period, or you've been blocked and you've like, what have I done? Like, what did I say that hurt them? Or, what didn't I do? It's most likely not even about you. It's their own fears that they're trying to work through. So this person has laid it out so beautifully. So I wanted to just read it again and address it for other people to maybe kind of understand where your twin's coming from when they're in that place of not contacting. That was my address. What is yours?
Mine, I feel, is a little bit of a weaker point because I'm on the verge of either reading too much into it or reading it wrong. But it seems to me that with the so I choose to stay away and not even contacting him, as I feel he has more important things in his life, stop. Right there is a little chink in the armor, I'll call it. A little dent in the armor. Because this person is not choosing their reasons for making decisions. This person is totally putting the responsibility for the results that they're choosing on someone else,
right,
and what they presume that someone else is exactly doing out of absolute desire and free will. So in other words, right there might be a little bit of a block where there is no growth or healing, because they don't have to heal, because it's the other person's situation that's stopping the relationship. So there might be a little bit of a block built into that, because it's not choosing to stay away because we are both pointed in a different direction at this time in our lives, and we both feel like probably feel like it's a good thing to do to stay where we're at. It's all about him, not at all about the person who wrote the question.
right.
So a little bit of a possibly even this hurts so much that they can't think of their own feelings, so therefore they have to do what they feel the other person is best suited for with the possibility of this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I beat that one to death.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'm just trying to see if there was any other questions. I think actually everything else was sort of just meat around, but the first sentence was the question.
Following the advice of the universe.
And to me, again, that comes down to trust and surrender, and learning to trust yourself and surrender your ego to your higher self's perspective, decisions, thoughts.
I want to go to the last sentence. Regret that I feel now for being so naive as to believe I could have met the love of my life. Little bit of patience with self. I don't know if being naive in some situations is a bad thing. I think that naive is actually too harsh of a word. This person being so decisive, so almost black, almost white in the way that they see things, is punishing themselves for recognizing the possibility of a relationship, possibly without recognizing how hopeless it would be. But I don't know if I'd call that naive. I think that would be a little bit more subject to the whim either spirit or destiny, and not necessarily something that you could have chosen to have recognized or not. And what I'm talking about is the choice to understand the possibility of the relationship. Probably the naive is pointed in the direction of having fallen so hard for the possibility as opposed to recognizing the possibility at all before realizing that really it had not a lot of practical hope yet.
I love that you said yet. Yet. Yeah.
So, yay and congratulations for having recognized the potential of the bond. Maybe not so hard on yourself, please.
Yeah. And I think just applying some of what was said in the last question of learning, like this other person did, just learning the idea of letting go without giving up, right? Just surrendering and allowing things to unfold in the divine time that they're meant to, without saying just forget it, it's it's never going to happen. Just learning to find the peace in that. And I know that's way easier said than done. Get it? I've lived it. I know. But it can be done. So that's my last bits of advice.
Yeah, I've got nothing else on this. That was that whole blurb that this person wrote went many different directions all at the same time.
Well, and I think it just honestly applies to so many people's situation. I think it's a very common situation that a lot of people are in. So I would like to go to the next question if you're ready.
Okay. I'll read it.
It's a one sentence question.
Breathe deep. It's not necessarily a short sentence, but it is one sentence. Do you have advice on how to communicate with angels and spirit guides and how to stay in a good state despite feeling uninspired, doubtful, and in low energy? This is the spot where there's the cue. Angie wrote one word, and the word is hope. And at this point, I better let her have the stage because she's ready to go.
Well, before I address the hope, I wanted to answer the first part of the question because it's kind of like two questions. So, do you have any advice on how to communicate with angels and spirit guides? I absolutely did not plan to be wearing a shirt today that said angel and angel wings, and I didn't plan that at all. And I just think it's kind of funny that we're talking about angels. If you don't know me and my journey and story, I love angels. I have been connecting with angels since 1997. So we have a lot of angels in our house, and I have a lot of angel clothes and jewelry. And anyways, so kind of an appropriate question for tonight. So any advice on how to communicate communicate with angels and spirit guides? I said the word open because that's the answer. Simply just be open. Like, the best way I can describe it is imagine them right in front of you, around you, and you can talk to them with your voice. You can talk to them in your head telepathically, but just talk to them like they're your best friends. You don't need to, put on airs or say things in a certain way. Tell them everything that you're feeling, your hopes, your dreams, your disappointments, your fears, your uninspiredness, your doubtfulness, your low energy. You can share everything and anything with you, and there's nothing you can say that will offend them. If you know my story from when I was reading my journals, you know where I'm going.
I'm splitting a gut here. Talk to them like you're their best, or like they're your best friends, and yet I'm thinking, FFs,
my FFs,
Seth, yeah. I'm going, well, you were thinking of angels in very positive light, as opposed to when they're rubbing it all in your face.
I did talk to them very honestly, and again, I don't know if it's in a video. I'm pretty sure it is. If it is, I'll try and link it above.
We have talked about that.
We have, and I'm sure it's in one of our story videos. Is what I mean, though.
Yeah.
I used to, when I was happy with them, they were FFs, as in feathered friends, and when my life was falling apart and I couldn't take responsibility for it at that point, I blamed it all on them and I called them FFs for
feathered bleepers.
That's
Yeah.
right. And they're still around. They don't take offense because they see things from a higher perspective and they see everything in love. So there's no magic way to communicate with them. You can do it however you want. You can do it telepathically, you can do it in a journal like I used to do. You can do it while you're on a walk out in nature. You can do it while you're scrubbing your floors. Like there's no wrong way. Just talk to them like they're right in front of you.
And for those that don't live 24/7 in communication with their angels and spirit guides, yeah, you know, sometimes in order to get a little bit more aligned with them, it might be good to have meditation moments.
Sure, yeah.
I would have to go that route because as much as I know that they're around me all the time, I'm sometimes a little too much in my head to remember it, unless, of course, something's either going really good or really rough, and I have to go, okay, I'm not alone here. Okay, that's right, you're around.
I'm glad you said that because the friend that I just shared that was here visiting, again, I met her way back in my Reiki class, so we've been friends for a very long time. She is also a nurse, and she used to obviously live in the same city as me, and she would really struggle sometimes going to work because nursing can be very heavy energy. So what she would do is put little stickers of angels on her steering wheel. So as she was driving to work, it would remind her to ask for help from her angels. So you might even need to do little things like that. You can put something like a note on your bathroom mirror or, you know, a note in your car, whatever, as a way to just remind you to talk to them, ask for help, communicate with them however is going to serve your purpose best. But yeah, if you're like Rob and you kind of live more in your head, then use little tools of reminders because that works as well. Now, as far as the second part goes, how to stay in a good state despite feeling uninspired, doubtful, and low energy. That's where the hope comes in. And this is why I like having the questions like why we're not good at lives, because I'd have to run all over the house and grab things to show. I have had this book, Power of Hope, if you can see it. And it's funny, I date my books whenever I write in them or
whenever
read
she's
them.
tired of dating me, she just dates a book.
That's right, because they're quieter. They don't tell bad jokes. This book, and you can even see how much I paid for it, but I don't know if the date will show up because it's like fluorescent green. So if it doesn't, it was October 14th, 1998. So I got this book when I was going through the worst times of my life. Rob and I had split up and
You were broke?
I was dead broke. I can't remember if I was evicted at that point or not. I think I actually was evicted in October, so later that month. So I was going through hell. I had lost and was in the midst of losing everything. My twin, my family, my friends, my stuff. So this book came to me at a very divine time, and it got me through, and that's why it's so important. I think as long as we have hope, some like glimmer, even if it's just a tiny glimmer of hope, that pulls us through. So find something that gives you hope, even if it's just a tiny spark of hope. That is something. And a funny example, I actually pulled out another little thing to show. This has been, and again, it's interesting how this friend that I just had visit is tying in so much with this video. She gave me this. It's a seashell with the word hope on it, along with several other seashells. She went on a holiday and had invited me, and I wasn't able to go because I didn't have the finances to go at that point in my life, because this was, again, many, many years ago. So she brought me back seashells. One said hope, one has angels on it, one says
communicate or something?
It's funny, I stare at them in the bathroom all the time and I can't even remember all of the words. Love is one of them. But this one just in the past year has really gotten me through some challenging times. I've shared in previous videos, I've been going through some health challenges, and this has been what has been working for me. I'll just be like, universe, I need something, I need hope. Give me a sign of hope. And then this would jump out. Like, I mean, it's been sitting there forever. And you know how sometimes when something is in your face all the time, you don't even notice it anymore. And then all of a sudden it just jumped out at me and I was like, there's my hope. So what's even more funny is as I was getting this out to share this in the video, I actually dropped it on the floor just like 2 hours ago, if that even. And it went into 5 pieces. And I just stared at it and went, oh my God, this must mean something, because I've had this for 25 plus years and it's made many moves and never once have any of my seashells broke. And it broke. I don't know if you can see the back of it, but it's glued together. So as I was gluing it together, I got the answer of what it means. No matter how much your hope feels shattered, it can be put back together and you can find hope again. So even if you feel like you're in pieces, or like you say, uninspired, doubtful, low energy, you feel like you're splintered, you feel like you're not whole anymore, your hope can bring you and restore you back to peace and joy and love and happiness again. So even when it's broken, it can come back. So that is my answer for that, is find hope. Even if it's just the tiniest glimmer of hope, it's out there. It's always out there. And asking your angels and spirits guides is part of it. Ask them for signs. Ask them for hope. Ask them for peace. Ask them for whatever you need. That is their job. Sometimes we think we're putting work on them and like we're burdening them, but no, that's their purpose. They're here to serve us. So ask them for everything and anything you need and allow it when that happens. I know that was a big long ramble. I'm sorry, but
no, and I've just got just a slightly different angle, and it's just really a quick comment. How to communicate with angels and spirit guides, and how to stay in good shape despite feeling uninspired, doubtful, and in low energy. When it comes to angels, I think it's very important to remember that angels do not inflict grief on you. To reiterate what Angie was saying, they're here to help.
Even when we call them FFs and
yes,
not the nice way.
The way that I understand things a little bit more, maybe it's just my own way of keeping it so it doesn't hurt so much, is when things are not going well, it's often a path in life that you are going to follow, whether you call it pre-chosen or predestined, or whether or not you actually chose it yourself before you were incarnated, or whether it's something that is chosen for you after you were. But the angels don't inflict what we would perceive to be badness. We sometimes ask them for a reason why things are so tough. But remember not to completely blame them for how tough things are.
Like I used to do.
They're here to help, and I think sometimes where the disillusionment is, and this is where I'd like to steer it, is that we don't feel that they are helping enough. But sometimes when the journey seems tough, you've got to see that tough part of the journey through, as opposed to having a angelic intervention.
Right.
Sometimes you've got to see that portion of your journey through and know that they made the landing a little softer, as opposed to the middle of the journey a little softer.
Yeah. And they might also be there in the middle of the journey, but we can't see it or feel it because we're so in our grief or frustration or anger or whatever.
There's that sunlight coming through on the side of my head.
You're gonna have to move.
It's encroaching on us, although it doesn't feel that rough. It's slightly blocked by a tree.
Yeah. I think we have time for one more question. Hopefully we can do that.
Okay. It's interesting how you got the screen set up. I can't even see the time.
Haha, I finally figured out on this new computer that's not that new anymore how to set it. Remember, it was going every like 5 minutes or something, and we had to
Yeah.
wake it up. I finally figured it out.
Oh.
Yep.
See, I never would. I just probably never would. If the computer would wear out and I'd replace it before I figured out how to make it do exactly what I wanted to do. In the meanwhile, I get to lean forward though, and I can stay out of the sunshine.
Okay.
Next question.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. Does a masculine so grounded in the matrix and accepting of an unexplainable bond with a feminine, but denying the love very stubbornly, who has closed himself off to the concept of love due to trauma and a turbulent past, ever wake up to the spiritual path? That was a lot in one sentence. I'm going to say it all over again. Does a masculine so grounded in the matrix and but accepting of an unexplainable bond with the feminine, but denying the love very stubbornly, stay closed off to the concept of love due to trauma and a turbulent past? Do they ever wake up to the spiritual path? Is he even supposed to? This is, again, a curious question. By the grace of the universe, I have learnt that we too have our own journeys and purposes, and hence he might never realize the depth of our bond, and I'm okay with that. Since I am blessed with the knowing I cannot deny what is known, that's profound. Since I am blessed with the knowing that I cannot deny what is known in my reality, I acknowledge and accept and understand his stand, and my stand, and the universe's stand. All I wonder is, will everything ever come together?
I'm going to just answer the last question without answering anything else for just a second.
Who says it isn't together
Right.
in the state that it is supposed to be at this time?
Right. I mean, I know what they're asking, but
Yeah.
it is together, right? It's just not together in the perspective that you're wanting it together, as in you two together right now. But it is together in divineness as it is right now, because you're both on the path, you're both growing, you're both learning, you're both healing. Even if you think he's not, and he's like not opened up at all, he's doing stuff. For him to even acknowledge, I love how she said, accepting the unexplainable bond. Do you know what a big step that is, like all by itself, for somebody to accept the unexplainable bond, especially for the masculine, because the masculine energy, and again, we're not necessarily talking about masculine as in a male body, but just the masculine energy is usually the matrix, usually the more earthy, grounded one that doesn't accept the unexplainable. They need answers. They need things to fit in logical boxes and files and reasons and purposes. So if he's accepted the unexplainable bond, that's huge. I could say more, but I feel like you want to say something, and I'd like for you to say something, because you also accepted very quickly that unexplainable bond.
Will he ever wake up to the spiritual path? Stop. Accepting of the unexplainable bond. Stop. If one has managed to sort and file and accepted the unexplainable bond, it'd be very hard to do that without being on a spiritual path.
Right. Because you need some way to explain it. And if he can't explain it with logic, he's got to explain it with spirituality or something of a higher power.
Or acceptance of God or God's will, something. It means that they're on a spiritual path of a sort, and they probably would not deny that. They might just be a little embarrassed that their state on the spiritual path might not be acceptable to others, which leads back to judgment. We've already talked a little bit about judgment, but this is a different style of judgment. This would be judgment for your twin. So I think what this person is saying is, will they ever wake up to the spiritual path in a way that would cause them to be able to catch up enough to be in union? Boy, that's a little harsh.
That is harsh, but I think
It,
that's
it,
kind of,
it's a
and not even
question.
necessarily that they're wanting them to catch up, but that they hope that they would wake up enough to be in union. And I don't even think it's that they're not necessarily awake, because if they accept the unexplainable bond, that shows some level of awakeness. I think for them, it's just a requirement right now of needing to do the healing. Like they've said, they've had a hard past.
Yeah.
Where'd they say that? Because they here
Trauma and
trauma and turbulent
turbulent
past.
past.
I had a trauma and turbulent past, and I was the one, if you know our story, that was more the runner. Even though I'm the feminine energy, I was more the runner, and I had to overcome that myself. So, I mean, nobody can say if he will or won't, right? That's up to him to decide. But it sounds like he's on the path.
Another comment I have goes right to the last bit here where it says, all I wonder is, will everything ever come together? The word, I'm going to call it a word, even though for some people it's a phrase, depending upon how they say it. The word or phrase is end game. What is the end game? What is the coming together?
That's a Taylor Swift song. Sorry, tangent.
What isn't a Taylor Swift song at this point? But will everything ever come together? That almost sounds like the person who wrote the question has already predetermined what the end game would look like. And going back to the first bit, will this person ever wake up to the spiritual path? Will this person ever wake up to a spiritual path that will lead down to the preconceived end game?
Well, the end game that they're hoping for is them together, which is understandable. That's
together.
Who
and
doesn't want
okay,
that?
Together. And does that end game also include being spiritually on the same level? Or does that just mean acceptance of each other enough that they can be together? See, this is what I'm seeing here is there's just enough rigidity in what I consider, what I see here is preconceptions of how things should be, that there might not be enough flexibility to let things be how they could be in a more flexible setting of acceptance of where things are versus where they could be in a year from now versus 2 years from now. I just feel the rigidity in the expectations. That's the right words.
Yes, but I think also they're trying to find surrender, because they're talking about, I'm okay with that, and I'm okay with my stand and his stand and the universe's stand.
Fair enough.
So they're trying to find that place of surrender, but they're also asking the question out of place of trying to find hope. You know, going back to the last question, they're like, all I wonder is, will this ever come together? Like, they're just like, can you give me some hope? I just need some hope to carry on. That's kind of how I see it. Is there, like, he has this where he's got this accepting of this unexplainable bond, but he also has all this trauma and is denying our beautiful love. So, like, can you have this and still work it out? And again, I'm never one to want to give false hope, but I say absolutely, yes, he can. Will he? Nobody can answer that, right? That's your own journey. But can he? Yes. And I say that because we have. You were the one that didn't fully understand our bond before. Not that I did either. I didn't have words for it. And I was the one that had all the trauma, and it worked out. And I'm not just saying because of our experience. We know lots of people that have had these sorts of situations, and they're in union. So it can work. Yes.
I guess maybe what I'm feeling is a lot of my own journey in this question, where I didn't even.
Getting
I
attacked
didn't.
by sun.
A little bit. I'm actually also getting just as much. And it's not in a bad way. Attacked by ants. I'm just having to flick a few of them off me. We got two different types of ants in our yard.
Yeah, they're climbing on you. Okay, let's carry on because we're running out of time here.
Yeah,
Sorry,
actually, Angie's very creeped out by the thought that there's bugs crawling around all over the place.
I'm not. I used
She's
to be
not
a bug person. I used to be as a kid. Now, no.
But I think that because I went so many years with no end game, no understanding of what the beginning or the middle or the end would be, that when opportunity did all of a sudden smack me up the side of the head, I was able to just go with it because I wasn't clouded by other thoughts of where everything was going to go.
Right.
Went from happy birthday and Merry Christmas to together in a darn hurry. No one could guess that.
But even that, we didn't see the path.
No,
we did not see the path forward to together.
It just threw itself right in front of us all the time, and just stepped forward. That was more a blind faith.
And I was just going to say, I think that's the important thing to have sometimes, is just the blind faith, right? That trust and surrender of just keep it open to allowing what's divinely going to happen, or you're divinely guided to do, and where you're divinely guided to go. That's the best way to get through this path, is just be open. And I think that's where they're trying to be. They're saying, I acknowledge, I accept and understand his stand, my stand, and the universe's stand. So they're in that place of surrender. But like the very first question said, I feel like surrender comes in layers. Absolutely. It's not like you just surrender and you're, okay, I'm done. It's surrender, and then the next day, surrender again. And then the next minute, surrender again.
I really like that sentence. Since I am blessed with the knowing, I cannot deny what is known. Wow.
That's very deep. Yeah,
I like that.
That's profound.
That is profound.
Yeah. Whew, I was just going to do the very same thing.
Yeah.
These were all some really kind of intense questions about, like,
these
how do we keep going?
We often say that we like the questions because they're all good questions. Today's questions had a bit of intensity to them. They really did. They weren't urgent. They were, I can't really put a word to it.
Well, I kind of see it as that twin flame angst of, like, I'm trying to be in this place of just allowing and surrender, but sometimes it's hard. You know, like, all of them are in a place of struggle, which, you know, I have deep compassion for, because, man, it sucks. It really, as much as we tell you to, you know, find the ease in it, it's tricky. It's hard. I remember, and I still, you know, in other ways have to find my own ease and other things. So it's a tough journey, not just union, but just life in general. Sometimes it's rough.
I'm gonna preload the next video.
Okay, and then we have to go
because it's getting very bright and sunny.
Yep, you were right. The sun did come around.
It just came right around and didn't hide in behind a tree.
No.
Well, I got a little tree shade on me, but other than that, no. But
I just got sun.
But I think when we're done this video, I'm going to bring up a topic, and then I'm going to address that topic at the beginning of the next video.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just saying that I'm going to commit to having to make a comment at the beginning of the next video, outside of a cute you and I story or anything else like that. Okay.
So thank you for your questions. Especially these ones.
Excellent as always.
Yeah, and I just really send you my love, because I can just feel the challenge in people right now and the struggle. It's not a journey of ease, that's for sure. It's definitely worth it. I will tell you that. Especially when you get premium snuggles.
Premium snuggles.
First thing in the morning.
Yay.
Head to toe snuggles. And maybe that was the story that needed to be shared to give people some hope. All right, we're going to sign off before we get blinded by the light.
Or our eyeballs just get burned out by it. Pick one.
That too. I need to go like this. There
Yeah.
we go. So we love you. We thank you for your questions,
Yeah.
and we will hope to be back sooner than, I don't even know how long we were last time, but
We
no
run
guarantees with life.
we struggle a little bit in winter, and a lot in summer. A lot of that has to do with me because
You're golfing and climbing and everything.
and anything else I can do
I'm the introvert. I just stay home.
when I'm not getting totally blinded by sunlight and,
That's right.
and
And
heated out and can't go for a bike ride because I'd be a puddle somewhere.
Yeah. All right. Good night, guys.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.